Shalom. I want to start giving all praise to Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahushai, Ba'asham Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone for teaching the scriptures, among other things. And salutations to all the Akyam across the earth who are doing this work in sincerity and in truth. And shalom to the sincere brothers and sisters who are at home watching the videos and do their best to please Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahushai. So yeah, man, this video I basically want to go into, basically want to jump in this article. In this typical case, an Edomite devil, doing some filthy shit, and this time being punished for it, because these devils, they doing all kinds of shit, and a lot of times you see them getting away with it, but, if you look around you, you see that the Most High is busy with visiting this planet. These are the signs. If you go to the book of Matthew chapter 24, you can start from verse 6 and explains you, because the disciples, they asked Yahushua back then what would be the signs of his coming. And if you read the book of Matthew chapter 24 starting from verse 6, then you see that these things that are going on right now, that these things are the signs that we are in the time for Yahushua to come back. See? So basically that's it. And that also means that these devils, that these Edomites, that they are busy to losing their kingdom, their rulership. They are, more and more, they losing more and more grip on everybody, because these devils, they have been put in rulership. Matter of fact, let me just jump real quick. The book of Job, where it states, this is the book of Job, chapter 9 and verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So this shows you that the wicked is talking about, if you just think by yourself, like, who's ruling this earth? Yeah, well, it's the so-called white people. They are the wicked, Matter of fact, the book of Psalms also explains that. Jump to that real quick. Book of Psalms, chapter 17, if I'm correct. If I remember it correct. Slack. Let me see. The book of Psalms. Yeah. Book of Psalms, chapter 17. And verse, let me start from verse 8. Keep me as the apple of the eye, hide me under the shadow of thy wings. So there's a prayer from, King David. From the wicked that oppress me, from my deadly enemies who compass me about. They are enclosed in their own fat. With their mouth, they speak proudly. And if you look at this devil, these devils, they're always proud. They think they're the epiphany of beauty. They think that, they lie about that they are the creator of, how do you say that? About civilization. But if you go to the book of First Maccabees, it shows you that when these Edomites, when these Greeks came into rulership, after the death of Alexander the Great, the world calls him Alexander the Great, but he died of syphilis, because he was laying down with little boys. And these devils, they are very known for doing these things. They still do that, especially the Dutch Edomites, they love to lay down with little boys. Old men laying down with little boys, they love to do that, forcing them to lay down with him. So he died, then he had this generals and all that, and their sons and all that, they start to rule. And the scriptures shows you that then the evils were multiplied in the earth. So civilizations didn't start with these devils. No, the wickedness started with these devils. And of course, our people were wicked too. That's why we are in a situation until this day. But nevertheless, they are fucking filthy, man. That's why the scriptures talk about them, they got multiple scriptures. And I'm gonna read those later, but let me finish this. So book of Psalms chapter 17 and verse 9. From the wicked that oppress me, from my deadly enemies who compass me about. They are enclosed in their own fat, with their mouth they speak proudly. They have now compassed us in our steps. They have set their bowing down to the earth. Like as a lion that is greedy of his prey, and as it were a young lion lurking in secret places. Arise, O Yahweh, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. And if you go to the book of Genesis, this is chapter 27, if I'm correct, it shows you what the blessing of these devils is, of Esau. Let me jump real quick so that I can see if I'm correct, because if I remember it, yeah, it's in chapter 27. And if you read in verse 40, it speaks about that the sword is his blessing. So yeah, let me just read it. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 27 and verse 40. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke off thy neck. So you see that? So that's part of his blessings, as the fatness of the earth. That's why they got all these gated communities in all these countries. Even currently I'm Curacao, and they got some gated communities going on. And recently I saw one, I don't remember exactly which neighborhood it was, but they were busy with a gated community. And of course, by the way that the houses were built, all the houses in the same way, that also shows you that that's what these devils like to do. Living in the same house as the neighbor, stuff like that, while Jake be flashing, want to have something different. But yeah, the houses were not finished, but the gate was already there. So yeah, you do the map. But yeah, back to the book of Psalms, chapter 17 and verse 13. Arise, O Yahweh, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword, from men, which are thy hand, O Yahweh, from men of the world, which have their portion in this life. Like I said, they have the fatness of the earth, and whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure. They are full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to the babes. Yeah, they always got everything going. This company has been in our family for more than 200 years, blah, 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 blah. They have no worries, basically. But it is coming to an end. It's coming to an end. And that's beautiful to see. That's basically what you see going on right now with these devils is Deuteronomy chapter 30 and 7. And I'm just going to grab that, and then I'm going to continue with the article. So this is a fine example of how these devils are not getting away with their bullshit, with the bogusness, with the wickedness, what they're doing everywhere. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30 and verse 7. And Yahweh thy power will put all these curses upon thy enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. You see that? There you have it. So the hatch that goes back to Cain is slowly being taken away from these devils. So this is the article from yesterday. So French Edomite devil from French. So French man licks straw in Singapore, risk a few years in jail. And over there, if they go, even in France, but yeah, then you're still in your own country. But if you are in a country like Singapore, when they don't like these devils, because these devils, everywhere where they go, they pollute the place. They are very known of polluting the place, and basically don't give a shit about the rules of the country. Don't give a shit about the culture, the country, the rules, stuff about what's going on over there. They don't give a shit about that. So back to the article. An 18-year-old French man has been charged in Singapore for licking a straw from a vending machine and then putting it back. You see that? So you can think by yourself, and if you should check Singapore. In Singapore, it's forbidden to even chew bubble gum. So it won't look like New York or Amsterdam, bubble gum everywhere on the sidewalk and all that stuff. You are not allowed to throw your trash on the streets. You know, they have strict rules concerning everything, so it's a very clean place. So here you have a filthy cave monkey coming over there doing some vile shit, because that's what it is. An 18-year-old Frenchman has been charged in Singapore for licking a straw from a vending machine and then putting it back. Singaporean media report. The teenager filmed the act last month. That's also, you know, there you have the pride of this devil. So they do shit and they're proud. They also proud by doing it, you know. The teenager filmed the act last month and posted the video on his social media. The footage went viral in Singapore, media report. According to court documents, the vending machine company was required to replace all 500 straws in the tray. The company, which sells orange juice, has filed a complaint. The man has been charged with vandalism and disturbing the public order, and that's exactly what it is. If he's found guilty of vandalism, he faces a prison sentence of 2 years and a fine. He can receive a 3-month prison sentence and a fine if he's convicted of disturbing the public order. Singapore is known for strict penalties for vandalism and destruction. For instance, throwing trash on the streets carries a hefty fine of €1,000. The country also has a ban on chewing gum, and spitting chewing gum on the street is prohibited. You see that? And only if you check these two rules shows you that those rules already keep the country clean. Because everywhere, you know, all these countries, you got garbage cans going on, but people like to throw the trash in the bushes and on the streets and all that, and don't give a shit about it. But if you got rules like that, then you keep your country clean. So it's very good. And you know, Lord willing, Yahweh, they put this devil in jail for a couple of years, you know, and that these Moabites over there teach him a lesson, you know, give him some beatings by a stick, you know, because that's also over there, you know, they give you, you can also get some carnal punishments over there, you know, some lashes and stuff like that. But yeah, man, so yeah, typical example of a cave monkey, you know, because these devils, they can't behave, man. So let me see. This is the book of Job, chapter 30 and verse 1. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have sat with the dogs of my flock. Job was complaining about these devils, and if you look, it's very logic what he's saying. Because these devils, they are laying down with animals. Just go on the internet. I remember like years ago, I want to do a video about these bestialities that these devils are doing. And I was looking for like an, how you say that? I was looking for a picture basically for the video, but I couldn't find nothing that was, you know, to PPG, you know, PPG 13 or something, whatever, how you want to call it, you know. I couldn't find nothing that is, you know, that wasn't disturbing. Because these devils do filthy shit, man. So of course Job didn't even want this devil with his dogs, because he starts laying down with these animals. That's what they do. You know, these Edomites, these cave monkeys, they are known. I remember, you know, that back in the days when I used to go out, you know, go to the club or whatever, you know, I always used to see these Edomites, you know, friends, so-called friends, you know, and then they get drunk and then they start kissing each other and laughing about it like it's all a joke and shit like that, grabbing each other by the ass and all that shit. Because they're a bunch of, yeah, of course they're sodomites, you know, they always want to do some gay shit, and they're a bunch of cave monkeys. How the fuck are you gonna kiss your friend on the mouth, you know, tongue kiss your friend, and then be like it's a joke, you know? And meanwhile, you see that a lot, you know, they be like going out in a group, you know, like 5 men, and they all got a girlfriend, you know, and then they start messing with each other. Fucking idiot cave monkeys, you know. That's also why you see all these females, they're running away from the so-called white men, you know. These so-called white females, these devilins, you know, they running to all kinds of men, basically, you know. Yeah, you see a lot of them also going to jail, but they also go with other heathens, you know. They're leaving their men. But yeah, Yeah, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished? For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness, in former time desolate and waste. Yeah, because people used to chase them away, because they used to walk on all fours, and people used to chase them away, and so they start living in the caves. You know, just Google Petra, and you can see that they still use the same architecture. What they used back then, they use it now. So they monkeys, you know, these cave monkeys used to live over there. Look at the Caucasus Mountains. They call themselves Caucasians, right? Because they used to dwell there. You see? For want and famine, the book of Job, chapter 30 and verse 3. For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness, in former time desolate and waste, who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat. They were driven forth among men, they cried after them as after a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in the caves of the earth and the rocks. You see? Among the bushes they brayed, and they still do it. Watch a football match, a soccer match, you know, put some beer in it, and you find them, even on the streets, they be like, start braying, you know. Among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. They were children of fools, children of base men. They were viler than the earth. And you see it by everything that they do and what's going on, that they are viler than the earth. So, and the Most High put them in charge, you know, as a punishment. So, this is the book of Daniel, chapter 4 and verse 17. This matter is by the degree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and given it to whomsoever he will, and set it up over it the basis of men. And that's exactly the thing that we have to deal with this day, because these devils, these cave monkeys, are in rulership. You see? Give me 1 second. Write something down. Because they be in rulership. Yes. So, one more scripture. This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 12 and verse 16. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau. And profane means outside of the temple. So there's nobody filthier than these devils. Who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. For ye know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected. For he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears. You see that? So there's not among the heathens, even you got these coolies throwing shit at each other, having a shit party, you know, with cow dung, you know, washing the face with cow piss and all that shit, you know, jumping on a pile of shit and making it a party. You got these East Africans, you know, making pies from flies and all that shit. You know, they filthy too. But these Edomites, these cave monkeys, so-called white people, they beat them all. They the vilest, man. They the vilest, the lowest of all these heathens, man. So yeah, man, basically I'm gonna leave the video like that. So with that, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahushai, Ba'asham Kadash. A double honors to the apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone for teaching those scriptures, among other things, and salutations to all the Akyam across the earth. We're doing this work in sincerity and truth. So with that, I'm going to say Shalom.